Good morning, Ramisha. I'm going to go over your homework 6 and give you some feedback. Okay, I'm going to look at your tables first. Okay, so your descriptives. Uh-oh. The mean that we got is different than the one you have. So this should have been, I think, 4.14. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put the corrections on this video. So, and your standard deviation is a little bit different. So I think you might have made a boo-boo entering the data. Always be careful about that. But I'm going to see if the results should be pretty much the same because that's not that far off. All right, your assumption of homogeneity of variance was not violated, right? Because that's a big number, not a little number. And your ANOVA between groups was significant. Okay, we kind of knew that going in, that there was going to be a significant difference between the different groups. That's why we decided to run the contrasts or the simple comparisons. I'm sorry, the plain comparisons. So this tells me that you're comparing the placebo group against all three of the other groups. The second one is the low versus the medium. And the last one is the medium versus the high. Okay, so let's see what kind of contrast we got here. Contrast one. Again, that number is bigger than the one we have, and it's probably due to a data entry error. But we got the same results, right? It is a significant difference between the placebo group and the everybody getting any form of the drug. And for the second comparison, that is not less than 0.05. Therefore, you do not reject the null, which means that there is no significant difference between the low and the medium group. And in this last comparison, the medium versus the high, yes, because that is less than 0.05, you get to reject the null and say, yes, there is a significant difference between the medium and high group. Let's look at your means plot. Perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm going to go back up to your write-up. All right, please hold. Okay, the write-up, it needs a lot of work there, Ramesh, my friend. So what you have, I'm going to go ahead and bring up what I put in here to correct it. Make sure I get it in there. Okay. So you said a planned comparison. No, 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 no. We did 3 planned comparisons going in, okay, to compare the effects of the drug for Alzheimer's disease on your cognitive function. So your cognitive function is your DV, right? And your IV is group. There's 4 different groups. And there was a significant difference between the measurements of the placebo. So remember, whenever you say there was a significant difference, that word significant, you have to write up your results. In other words, you have to put in the mean, the standard deviation of, you're supposed to do both groups, but since the other 3 groups are combined, I don't think that's that important right now. And then what kind of test you did, right? The T means you did a t-test. 22 means there were 22 plus the 2. There's 24 people in the test. There is your t-test statistic, and there's the probability value of that. Okay, so since the p-value is tiny, 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 you get to reject the null and say, yes, there was a significant difference between the group. Okay, so there was no significant difference in comparison 2 between the medium and dose and the low dose, but there was a significant difference in comparison 3. Again, when you see that word significant, you have to write up the means of the groups you're talking about, the standard deviations, and the actual t-test results. Okay, boom. So I'm going to move on to your within group. Please hold. All right, Ramisha, this is homework 7. I'm going to look at the tables first. So these were the 6 different measurements that occurred over time. Here's their means and their standard deviations and how many in each group. Okay. Multivariate test, I don't need to see this. You do not need to put this one on your thing. Unless you're going to report something from it, like the Wilca's Lambda or something like that. But again, if you're not going to put it in your little paragraph, do not put the table on the page. Okay, it's just don't need it. So we do need to test the sphericity, and the significance was not less than 0.05. Therefore, we did not violate the assumption of sphericity, right? It's where all the data basically sticks together over the time period, okay, right? That's the fish thing. And here's your money, right? This is the main ANOVA within group box, okay? So sphericity is assumed, which we proved. 5 degrees of freedom means we had 6 different measurement times. There's our F, and we got a little tiny significance there. Okay, so there was a significant difference. Okay, you might have want to mention something about the eta squared. So that's about 90%, which means your test is very, very powerful. That means about 90% of the variance in the change of the number of complaints that occurred can be attributed by the different training times. Okay, that's what that means. Okay, so eta squared, partial eta squared, tells you what percent of the variance in the DV can be explained by your model. Boom. And your power is practically perfect. Okay, so this is a real strong study. That means the data is very, very believable. And again, we don't need this box here. Okay. It's basically, this one is the computer telling us that the data basically fits a linear type of format, which we really don't need to know at this point. This is a little bit high-end statistics. And we didn't do a between subjects test, so we don't need that box. Okay. Estimated marginal means, okay, that's good. But here's this, right? This tells you right off the bat that as the trainings continued, the number of complaints went down and down and down. So let me go ahead and look up at what you wrote up. Okay, so within group. Okay, please hold. Okay, your write-up needed work again. So I want you to start looking at the way the write-ups are when I put up the homeworks APA write-up format. I want you to practice that for a while. So you're within group ANOVA, or repeated measures ANOVA, effectiveness, sexual harassment, was effective at significantly reducing the number of complaints over a 4-week period. Okay, so and what you did was the results were, and those weren't the results, these were the means and the standard deviations, okay? So, and that's okay to list them the way you did, the means and the standard deviation, blah, 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 blah. And then you finally say there's a significant difference in the reduction of sexual harassment complaints in the company. But again, whenever you say there is a significant difference somewhere, right? When there was a significant difference, you have to put in what test was used, the degrees of freedom, the test statistic value, and whether it was significant or not, right? So we know it's significant because the p-value is really, really small, okay? But that's it. MJZ, out.